Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
This is the Chad Benson Show. My name is Craig Collins filling in. Chad will be back after the holiday. Thrilled to be here. And oh, guess what? Gas prices are high. ABC News now reporting on this as well.
For drivers, relief can't come soon enough. In just the past year, the average price for a gallon of gas has soared to $3.40. That's $1.29 higher than this time last year.
Just fill up my car, it's like $65.
Khadijah Baxter and her 4 kids usually drive to spend Thanksgiving with family, but not this year.
Riding around is a no. You have to fill up again by the end of the week.
Riding around is a no. I love the way she says that. I love the way they do the interview at the gas station with somebody getting gas. It's a news move, but it's true. Gas prices through the roof. Our president yesterday said that we're going to crack into the oil reserve. We're going to get this all fixed. Although then he also said it's not going to be a fast fix. And then a bunch of investors and other people said it's not really going to matter at all. It's not going to be a lasting impact if anything happens. I do think this is interesting. Biden's energy secretary, Jennifer Granholm, has been talking about how this is transitory, as have several other political people. She said this yesterday at one of the, I think this was the press conference for the press secretary. She popped up as well and said that, you know, it's a transition. It's a thing that's happening. And I want to compare this to something she did a little while ago in an interview, but here's what she said yesterday.
Well, I mean, the message is that we are in a transition, and the transition does not happen overnight. And we recognize we're not going to flip a switch and be completely all clean because we haven't done the investment.
I'm going to stop it right there. When she starts talking about clean energy and green energy and whatnot, that's a ridiculous road for us to go, in my opinion, because as she mentions, we haven't done enough investing there. And why would we invest more right now in stuff? Why wouldn't we find other solutions to said problems, solutions that involve maybe more pipelines or not canceling pipelines? I don't know. That's just me. That's my idea. Don't shoot the messenger. I love this, though. This is Granholm a few weeks ago in an interview. Someone was trying to ask her how we fix this, how we lower prices. And this is the more honest version of this conversation. From her opinion, I think from the White House's opinion, it's hilarious to talk about. She really did laugh and say that's hilarious when asked how you fix the problem.
What is the Granholm plan to increase oil production in America?
Oh, my God. That is hilarious. Would that I had the magic wand on this. As you know, of course, oil is a global.
I know. She's going to talk about how it's a global market. I want to go back to how funny she thinks it is to fix this problem at all.
In America.
You! This guy.
That is hilarious.
Making jokes.
Would that I had the magic wand on this, as you know.
Like we can do anything. Come on, guy. No, there is stuff we can do as far as domestic production goes, and it has to be lasting as far as the impact. So again, even though it's not terribly surprising that a lot of people, I think, and a lot of the experts, a lot of the traders are saying that this releasing of reserves is going to have a very mild and very transitory, for lack of a better word, impact. It's going to slowly dip the numbers, and then they're probably going to go back up. It's more for show than anything else. Well, we'll see. Hopefully it's more impactful than that, but it makes sense to start having conversations that involve some things this administration is not interested in. Other news, our former president, Donald Trump, popped up on TV. Of course, it was on Fox. A couple things were talked about. First, Rittenhouse was discussed because our former president met with Kyle. Kyle actually, according to Trump, wanted to sit down with him. Kyle had no interest in sitting down with the current president, who called him a white supremacist multiple times. This makes sense. Let's see what Trump said about the meeting with Rittenhouse.
I know you met with Kyle Rittenhouse.
By the way, I have to say, Kyle, I got to know him a little bit. He called. He wanted to know if he could come over and say hello, because he was a fan, unlike the other guy. He came over with his mother. Really a nice young man, and what he went through, that was prosecutorial misconduct. He should not have had to suffer through a trial for that. He was going to be dead. If he didn't pull that trigger, that guy that put the gun to his head, in 1/4 of a second, he was going to pull the trigger. Kyle would have been dead. He's a really good young guy. He's 18 years old, just left Mar-a-Lago a little while ago, and he should never have been put through that.
I think a lot of people agree with our former president that Kyle never should have been put through the things that he went through in that court case itself is what I mean by that. The way in which prosecution handled several things was alarmingly poor. And one of the best examples, one of the easiest examples of that idea is when the prosecution tried to talk about Kyle remaining silent until his court case, choosing not to do interviews, talk to people publicly at all, essentially throwing into question one of the most basic rights of any American citizen. You have the right to remain silent. Utilizing that as if it's some sort of argument point is something that very much angered the judge, very much angered a lot of legal experts. And it's just one example of a thing that happened that was very odd. Trump also talked about the media. And the media, I think, is getting a lot of very valuable criticism now. Not that they haven't gotten it before, but I think that the Rittenhouse case, if you're trying to truly break down why what is occurring, where you have people who have starkly different opinions, shockingly different feelings about something that if you watched the court case, if you listened to the witness testimony of people called by prosecution to take the stand and talk about some of the things that happened that evening, people who witnessed the aggression of some of the individuals involved or witnessed, and actually the individual himself admitted pointing a gun at Rittenhouse. All this happened, and yet a lot of media just ignored so many aspects of this that I do believe that it's so easy to paint the picture that media is the problem in this situation. Media could report better on this story, and you might feel differently if you're someone that, just went in assuming that Kyle Rittenhouse is a bad guy and went out without the information to understand what was actually demonstrated in the courtroom. But here's Trump on the media. It's always fun to hear him talk about the media.
They are corrupt. They are, and I say it, and I don't want to say it much, but I say it, and I hope in the future I won't have to. They are the enemy of the people. And we could have a country that would be able to heal and get together, except the media foments it. They're so corrupt. And, I came up with the term fake news a long time ago. I don't know if I'll get credit for that, but that's okay. The fake news, but it's really the corrupt news. It's corrupt what they do. And they're so important, it could be, important. They used to have a high approval rating. Now they have the lowest. I think they have a lower rating than Mitch McConnell, which is pretty good. I tell you what, they have a rating that now is people have gotten wise to it. They've just gotten wise to it.
I think he's right about that. I think that more and more the perception of media for the average American is changing. Now, granted, I know that a lot of people have a lot of criticisms of our former president in a lot of different ways. But every so often, when you hear from Trump and then you compare that to Biden or compare that to most politicians, it is so easy to also see why so many people support our past president. He speaks so differently. He doesn't run away from the media either, which our current president does. I just love the fact that at the end of that interview with Sean Hannity last night, Sean is saying how nice it was that Trump stayed as long as he did because they didn't expect it. I did. I'm sure that I would assume that if I booked Trump, that he'd be willing to talk for about as much time as you're willing to talk to him because he's not afraid of having conversations and going against, I think, people who are going to challenge him. I think he kind of enjoys it.
Mr. President, you gave us a full hour, longer than we thought.
Longer than we thought. Thank you so much. Love the time. That wasn't shocking to me at all. There is other things going on in the world, of course. I can't help but continue to talk a little bit about Wisconsin, about this person who now has a $5 million bond set as of yesterday that I probably should mention more just because of how significant that is compared to the last bond that he passed, the last bail that was set that he was capable of paying in order to be out of jail to cause the attack. This is obviously the theory right now because nothing's been fully proven in court yet. But I don't even know from what I've read if the defense for that individual, for Darrell Brooks, is actually going to try to say he didn't do it. It seems as though their defense is going to land more on reasons why he was not in a great place mentally. And I don't know how effective. I assume that will fail. They're not even going to say, from what I've read, and this is all just assumptions, that he is mentally ill, but just that he was going through a hard time financially. There's something else about that case that hit me so hard yesterday, and I just couldn't talk about it. I got angry. And when we do this job for a living, we need to be numb to a lot of the news and the things that we discuss. You just have to. You have to inform the audience, communicate with the audience, and you need to make sure that you're giving all that information that is the most vital. And yet when they reported that an 8-year-old had died, the 6th death now from that attack in Waukesha, a Christmas parade, I couldn't get over how horrific that is. All of the loss of life is horrific, but it's Christmas, and you're going to celebrate at a parade. The other brother, who's 12, I believe, was injured as well, but he's going to be okay, suffering and trying to heal in the hospital from his injuries. But an 8-year-old kid died, hit by a car at a parade to try to celebrate Christmas, and I can't get over how awful and how evil an act like that is after information like that is now available too. Again, not to diminish any of the other 5 lives that were lost that day. I think it's just maybe a human instinct to be even more impacted when you hear that someone as young as 8 is gone. And I think, and I'm going to get to a bunch of stuff that Tucker Carlson talked about last night. I thought he had a couple very valuable guests. I know that Tucker's someone that people feel can go very far to a side of the aisle. But I think at other times it's really unfair to dismiss the things that Tucker Carlson does if you're someone that's on the left and hates the guy, because he does a lot of very well-reasoned things. He even talked to Tulsi Gabbard last night, and I thought that was interesting. But just the way in which now we are more and more fearful, I think. Some people, more and more people, it feels like to me too, of where we're going in society when you have things like the Rittenhouse case where people just cannot agree, even though a courtroom seemed to prove and demonstrate with video evidence what did occur that night. And then you have this story about this gentleman who is a Black Lives Matter supporter, who hates the cops, who has an anti-Trump rap that's up on social media. And as of right now, no one is calling this terrorism. No one's even alluding to the idea that it could be, or that the motivation connects to those things, or the fact that it happened in Wisconsin, so close to the Rittenhouse case and the decision there. All of those things are now, and the cops are saying, we're not leaning those roads. And as I said, after the break, we're going to play some audio that I think helps contextualize some of those theories. But if we keep going in this pattern, in this way of ignoring some violence because we think the causes that violence is being created by are valuable enough to ignore the violence, we have a significant problem in our society. This is Chad Benson Show. Craig Collins filling in. Back in a bit.
You stink like fear and white male privilege to me.
I do often out myself verbally as a gender. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm proud to be a gender.
Are you stupid? What? Are you kidding me?
Not a great way to use your white privilege.
Some people get it, some people don't.
You're listening to The Chad Benson Show.
This is The Chad Benson Show. My name is Craig Collins, filling in. Thrilled to be here. Lots to talk about. And since it's a holiday, definitely a lot of value in getting away from the news of the day, which is just sad and depressing more often than not. But I can't help but touch on a couple things that Tucker Carlson discussed last night. The first one, talking to author Naomi Wolf about the amount of protests that exist right now and the amount of crazy draconian things that are happening on a worldwide scale due to COVID-19. I think sometimes when we have the conversation about vaccine or any of that other stuff, it feels as though a lot of people are going to say to you that everywhere else in the world has figured this out. America is the only place struggling, quote unquote, if they feel that this decision being made by anybody is wrong for whatever reason. But that's utterly untrue. And for some reason, we don't get the reporting on this on a daily, weekly basis like we should. A lot of crazy stuff is happening. And Naomi points this out fairly well right here.
So it's extraordinary. It should be front page news on all the major news outlets, and it just isn't. Europe is up in arms. There's draconian lockdowns being enacted in Austria. They are trying to lock unvaccinated people into their homes. In Australia, they're taking people to mandatory quarantine camps and threatening, even more draconian measures. Germany is indicating it's going to follow suit, which we've certainly seen bad outcomes when totalitarianism takes hold in that part of Europe.
That's a heck of a way to say that, by the way. We've seen bad outcomes in Germany when these type of things have taken hold there. Give her a little more.
And Europeans are not having it. In Italy, in Greece, in France, across Europe, there are massive, massive protests.
We don't talk about this. We don't have conversations about how it's not just our country that is struggling with some of the odd ways in which governments, odd is a flattering word too. I could use something much stronger than that. But the ways in which governments are navigating COVID, and especially now, especially well over a year from the start of the quote unquote pandemic, at a place when a lot of people feel as though they just want this whole thing behind us. The vaccine exists. Some other treatments exist. I am vaccinated. I've mentioned it before. I'm comfortable mentioning it again. It's completely fine. And that was my choice. And you would be capable of making that choice, at least in my opinion. Apparently, you can't keep your job, according to our president, if you don't go the road that he wants you to go. But you should be able to make a choice. I should too. And we should live in a society where all of those options, the other treatment options that are being developed and are very promising, even the chewing gum that might help prevent transmission of COVID. That's a real thing. Google it, look it up. All of this is going to exist in greater and greater quantities in our society. So we just need to live. We just need to live life at this point and not deal with some of the lockdowns and the other things that are still occurring here in our country in some places and, of course, abroad. And we need to start having more conversations about how we're not the only place. And if you're someone who pushes back on any of these ideas, you're not the only person on the planet that feels that way. Certainly not. There's a lot of other things to talk about, a lot of other value that Tucker Carlson provided on his show yesterday, including a conversation about the media again and the dangers moving forward. I have all that after this. Craig Collins filling in on the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
This is the Chad Benson Show. My name is Craig Collins filling in. Thrilled to be here. Chad back after the holiday. Well-deserved extended vacation for Chad. The Urban Dictionary trend continues. Look up your name and see who you are. I think I talked about mine the other day. I'm going to go ahead and quickly do Philip for producer Phil, who's hanging out with us this morning. An amazing boy who, I don't know why I called him a boy. I don't know if Philip's going to be okay with that, or Phil, but an amazing boy who becomes an even more amazing man. Someone who isn't very social or emotional. However, he finds something or someone he loves. He will love them, and it will be everything to him. He cherishes the things he has. He's very stubborn. This is not that nice, actually. Sometimes annoying, very mean, but his cuteness overweighs it all. Phil, how do you feel about that?
Incredibly, totally accurate.
Even the cuteness part, it outweighs any of the annoying, stubborn parts?
Oh, absolutely. Just ask my girlfriend.
Okay, there we go. Most of these are very complimentary. Phil, yours is a little bit back and forth, I think. But there's anybody else that wants to do this, I was encouraging you to actually send it to our social media pages, The Chad Benson Show on Facebook and Twitter. I really want people to take me up on that because I really want Chad to be confused when he comes back on Monday as to why people were throwing definitions of their names from Urban Dictionary to him. Although he's up on the things, the trends, he probably knows what's going on. In the actual news, in the world of actual valuable news of the day, I thought Tucker Carlson touched on a lot of very valuable topics last night in his show. One of them was this Darrell Brooks case and how much the world, I think, our society should be worried about some of these trends that exist now, some of the ways in which we have conversations and we vilify certain individuals, whether or not those individuals are actually villains, and then we forgive other people. I'm not saying anyone's actually forgiving Darrell Brooks of the crime he is accused of committing. I'm just saying that there are ways in which I can see the progression that might sadly get to the point where someone like a Darrell Brooks chooses to just take life as horribly as the tragedy in Wisconsin occurs and feel as though, because of the conversations going on, maybe they're not as terrible and evil as so many of us obviously can tell and feel that someone who would do that is. But here is Tucker on that issue.
Police say the man who did this is a career criminal called Darrell Brooks. As of tonight, Brooks has not publicly explained why he committed mass murder. Instead, the media and local authorities have decided to speak for him. And the main thing they want you to know is that these killings had absolutely nothing to do with the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict just 2 days before. Nothing whatsoever. The timing is just one of those amazing coincidences. Quote, "There is no evidence that this is a terrorist incident," announced Waukesha's chief of police. But if indiscriminately murdering women and children at a Christmas parade isn't terrorism, then what exactly is it? Well, it's a vehicular mishap. Here's how Twitter's in-house news team described it. Quote, 5 people dead and more than 40 injured after car drives through parade. Car. It's the fault of the red SUV.
This is scary. This is worrisome to me, and I think that he's right on this issue, talking about how maybe because of a reticence to point fingers in certain directions or have conversations about people who are supporters of Black Lives Matter, supporters of certain aspects of those movements, the more violent rioting and looting aspects of what is also obviously a movement that involves some peaceful protesting. Both of those things occur. And then beyond that, even talking about the hatred of police, the hatred of Republicans, all these things create a version of, I think, a person. And again, I'm not saying specifically who and who isn't Darrell Brooks, but this is the information we've learned about him. It creates a worrisome trend. I want to say this real quick because I want to play the comments that Tulsi Gabbard had on the show, too. I was surprised by some of them, although maybe I shouldn't be. Maybe it is becoming more and more of a universal issue. But I was working in radio. This is definitely not here, definitely not with the great people that work on the Chad Benson Show. So first and foremost, I want to say that, and not in any place I currently am. If you Google me and look up some of the places I'm at now, I don't want you to think I'm talking about those employers. They're great, too. But at a past location I worked, a past show I was on, I filled in on a different show than my normal gig, kind of like I do here, and I connected with the person who's going to be my co-host for the day, and that person knew me as someone who talked about issues in the world of politics and went a conservative direction fairly often in my stances and the things that I talk about every day, and wanted to let me know that she was not a conservative in a very strange manner. This is right at the beginning of COVID, too, by the way. So we're right at the very start of the pandemic. And the person said to me off the air, just so you know where I stand politically, if I were to get coronavirus, I would immediately head to a Trump rally so I could kill some of his supporters. That's a quote from an individual who works in this industry, the industry of radio and media, and just wanted to let me know where her level of hatred was for people that were on the other side of her political aisle. And I remember I said nothing in that. I just stayed silent, intro rolled, started the show. But I couldn't get over that concept that I don't hate any liberal person enough to want to hurt them. Not even a little. Actually, I don't hate any liberal person, I don't think. I find some things that politicians say and do to be about as infuriating as they can possibly be, but it makes me in no way, shape, or form want to harm a person. And it's becoming more and more common, I think, for people to make jokes about even the Rittenhouse thing. So many people making jokes on social media that like they want to kill the guy. It's just very odd. But here's Tulsi Gabbard's comments on the dangerous path forward for our society because of some of these things that are occurring And I 100% agree with her on this.
We are headed down a very dangerous path, and right alongside that, down this dangerous path, is the fact that we have politicians, we have activist judges, we have prosecutors who are not enforcing the law, people trying to defund the police, people who have really screwed up priorities, who seem to be more interested and caring more about protecting criminals than actually protecting our community, which is really the most fundamental, basic responsibility of our government, is to keep our people and our communities safe. And what we're seeing now as a result of these screwed up priorities, Tucker, is anarchy, chaos, and people getting hurt and loss of life on our streets.
Tucker went on to talk about how none of this really helps the communities that are at the biggest risk, the communities that are the unfortunate, or the people that I think are, still trying to gain improvements in certain ways. None of this anger, none of this violence is actually trying to benefit anyone. In all honesty, it's just coming out in the most odd and the most terrible, awful of ways. All right, let's transition. Let's shift gears. We got a holiday coming up. I can't do this the whole show, or I'll have a very sad day, and I don't want that for any of us. This dad, I just need a feel-good story all of a sudden, hands out free Thanksgiving meals. He's been doing it for 44 years. He's in the Bronx, and I'm so happy about this story, because it's somebody that's just deciding to do a good thing for no reason, and been doing it for so long that it's not at all about attention or anything else. It's just, a way to make him feel as though, in my opinion, this is what he's doing. He's done good in the world, and he's been doing it for so long, like I said, that it's viral this year.
They're not homeless people. The people who are homeless, they fell into this condition. We don't know why and how, but they're people first. There was a senior center in the church hall, and so a crew of us who were involved in the church said, why don't we try to talk to the center and say, could we ever open it up on Thanksgiving Day? This is our 44th year in a row, never missed, of a Thanksgiving dinner.
Never missed. Just do Thanksgiving dinner, give meals to those who are in need, and do something good in this world. I have no negative take. I have no hot take on that conversation. There's also this out there. I don't know why I want to touch on this, but I do. I can't help it. White Castle is sharing recipes for some of the food items that you might want to add to your Thanksgiving meal, food items that White Castle would be known for, not just the hamburgers, not just the cheeseburgers, because that'd be an odd move if on Thanksgiving someone busted out a White Castle sandwich, but some of the other things. Why this is valuable, why I want to talk about it at all, is the place that they're putting these recipes and these videos for you to consume. It's on OnlyFans. OnlyFans is a website not known for White Castle recipes. Let me just say that. Here's a little bit.
Y'all, it's about to get steamy in here. Chef Manny is in the house, and I'm about to drop a new recipe on you. But OnlyFans sliders will be able to see this. Let's put some flames on it, White Castle style, and I'll show you on the spicy side. Spicy.
So many things make me uncomfortable about this, about the chef on OnlyFans who's leaning into some of the aspects of what that site is actually known for. I don't think I ever want any grown man to try to, I can't say this a better way, I'm just going to say it the way it is, sexualize the creation of a White Castle food product. I don't want that. I have no interest in that. I don't know who in our society was craving this kind of thing, and I don't know how successful the OnlyFans page is because I haven't checked on it. But this has gone viral. There are other clips, if you want to check them out, of food items that, recipes, all the different processes. I guess you have to be a slider. A fan on OnlyFans of White Castle is apparently called Slider. I'm going to take a break. Craig Collins filling in on the Chad Benson Show. Our world makes no sense.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
This is the Chad Benson Show. My name is Craig Collins, filling in. Thrilled to be here. I think I have a hot take, and I don't mean for it to be a hot take, but I can't help it. Michael Strahan announced, I think this was yesterday, that he's the next celebrity to be blasted into space by Bezos. And here, I'll play the announcement first, And then I have a problem with this. And it's not just Strahan. It's all the celebrities getting blasted into space.
In less than 3 weeks, on December 9th, I will be blasting off in the next Blue Origin space launch. There you go. Going to space.
Even the muted clapping, and I know it's just a few people on that set, feels to me to be a demonstration of what I'm about to say. Stop firing celebrities into space. Just stop doing that. Let people who navigated the pandemic differently. I know I feel like I'm becoming a borderline liberal in this sense, but I hate the idea of a celebrity getting a free trip into outer space. It's the worst version of some of the things that are unfair about the people who are super famous and super rich and the rest of us. Stop sending these individuals. I'm a huge New York Giants football fan. Strahan is a tremendous football player and a great broadcaster. It's not just him that I'm mad at. It's the entire thing. It's every aspect of the way in which they're gaining a promotional benefit for these programs that these uber wealthy people are creating. And it's fine. We might get value in going back into space and all the different research and things that go into making that better and faster. I'm not one of the people, even though it annoys me, that news story that's going to tell the wealthiest of our society how to spend their money. But I don't want the celebrity in space thing to be a thing anymore. I honestly, I really feel like it'd be way better if we just pick someone, who's doing a lot of good in their community. Just anybody that seems to have a better reason to go. And I can't help it. I don't know why this has made me so, and I'm not that passionate. I'm not going to pop up and try to be a protester somewhere on this issue. I wonder if I tried to organize that, alone, if anybody else would go to that cause. And then if they did show up, if other people were there, I'd have to correct them by being extra woke and be like, no, I'm not protesting the millionaire and the billionaire space race and all that. That's fine with me. It's specifically the celebrity in space. After Shatner, we were done. I know that he has all those connections to space via Star Trek and whatnot, so that's fine. Sending Shatner felt to me to be the beginning and the end of that whole thing. And again, I don't know why I'm so passionate here, but you're not going to convince me otherwise. I'd love to have this argument over the holidays. I'm going to bring it up at every Thanksgiving event I go to, and I'm going to be ultra specific if anyone starts to tell me, yeah, I hate all the billionaire space race stuff. No. That's not the issue. That's not the cause that we're fighting for here. In other news, just shifting gears to something that's probably going to make you uncomfortable. But in the end, I guess we're going to have some tips on how to have this not be an issue. A guy went viral on social media. He went viral on TikTok because he passed a kidney stone. But the description of the kidney stone is probably why so many cared. One of the words used to describe it was jagged. And I can't tell you how uncomfortable I get envisioning jagged and kidney stone together as an idea. But here's a doctor who's also gone viral now on social media trying to tell you how to prevent your own version of this nightmare.
Strangely enough, low calcium can actually cause kidney stones. You need to get enough calcium in your diet so it can bind to oxalate in the stomach and intestines before it moves to the kidneys. Don't go overboard with salt. And don't go crazy with animal protein. Animal proteins contain purines. Eating too much can cause uric acid to build up in your urine, increasing the risk of stones.
Look, I love animal protein personally, and you usually can't make an argument that'll make me stop eating meat, that'll make me stop eating all the things, and salt is a lovely product. But if you threaten me with jagged kidney stone, I'm a little more likely to at least give you an ear, to at least listen to anything that you're saying, anything that you're trying to cause me to change in my life. In other news, I do like this story a lot. Porsche has created a jumbo land jet vehicle. This is something that I guess they might still be working on perfecting. It's going to be a SUV type of vehicle, and there's going to be a flight component to it. And I want this real bad. I've been fascinated for a while by Jetpack Guy, who now might not actually be a Jetpack Man. I think we have some more information about what that might actually be, or a lot more theories into it. But I think this is what we actually need. We're arguing about gas prices. We're arguing about all these things in our society. And just give us all flight. Let's just go that road, and then everything gets way better. I don't know if it's green. I imagine you're going to need a fuel involved in this process, and I can't imagine what gas prices would be if we're all fueling up jets, little mini ones made by Porsche, and I don't think I have the funds to get one of the first ones when it comes out. But this would be good. If we just get to the world where we can fly around instead of drive, I think that, for the most part, the issues of our society are solved. And I'm kidding. I'm fully kidding and being as sarcastic as possible when I say that. I know there'd probably be a lot of problems, and yet I just want it. I just want the ability, and I was excited about that story when I saw it, that there's going to be a jumbo land jet. And I can't wait to have the argument with the missus about why we need to buy that. We still haven't gotten past the buy me a motorcycle one. I used to have one. I got in an accident, not my fault. She said I couldn't have another one. And I know it sounds like I don't make the rules in my life. I don't. The missus makes more than I do. But we've still been back and forth on that issue. I can't wait to be, honey, I give up on the motorcycle. Let's talk about the land jet. I think that this is the right next step for both of us, I promise you. Just one other quick thing, just one other thing in the news that I thought was valuable to mention. There's a guy in Germany who was taking a driving test at 37 years old. For some reason, had never gotten his license. And it made AP News here because the dude drove to his driving test, and people had a problem with that. They were astonished when they saw him pull in. If you're 37, been driving a long time, and I know it's illegal, I know I'm not encouraging anybody to do it, but I'm not surprised. And, how's he going to get there? He's got no other ability to get to the driving test in the first place, and apparently he's been breaking this law for a very long time. So I guess I wasn't shocked that I saw that story in the news. And like I said, he has all the abilities. How is he supposed to make the test? All right, quick break, a lot more. Craig Collins filling in on the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Thank you for your time and effort. I'll have plenty of time to talk to you later. Thank you.
And other leaders. When will you answer our questions, sir?
This is Chad Benson Show. Greg Collins filling in. I played that because I love so much this reporter because Biden just walks away all the time. Biden, I don't know if he just forgets where he is and gets lost, which is the assumption I've made sometimes, or obviously he's avoiding all questions from reporters. But I love that last guy who's gone viral. When will you answer our questions? Sir, please answer our questions. I feel like he's almost like an Oliver Twist character, begging for more, just a little more time. And I don't know why. It entertains me a lot.
When will you answer our questions, sir?
Sir, please. We need questions answered by you, the president, and you have no interest in doing it. Our former president, Donald Trump, had no problem talking about quite a few things. He popped up on television yesterday. One of those things he talked about is media and how evil it is, how terrible it is. And I know that his take is extreme in the world of media, and I know that a lot of media will get offended by it. But I think that more and more people are opening their eyes to how biased coverage can be and how if you watch on any given station, even some of the most reputable, notable ones, that there are ways they cover stories that demonstrate that they have an opinion and it's been injected into said story. That's the easiest way to say, as I guess, somewhat understanding as I can, that Trump's right about this. Here we go.
They are corrupt. They are, and I say it, and I don't want to say it much, but I say it, and I hope in the future I won't have to. They are the enemy of the people. And we could have a country that would be able to heal and get together, except the media foments it. They're so corrupt. And, I came up with the term fake news a long time ago. I don't know if I'll get credit for that, but that's okay. The fake news, but it's really the corrupt news. It's corrupt what they do. And they're so important, it could be, important. They used to have a high approval rating. Now they have the lowest. I think they have a lower rating than Mitch McConnell, which is pretty good. I tell you what, they have a rating that now is people have gotten wise to it. They've just gotten wise to it.
I feel like that's true. I feel like that's becoming more and more true all the time, that people that might even identify on a different political side of the aisle than our former president are starting to see, and maybe, and this is actually a kind of selfish hope, that in the world of the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, that as people learn more of the actual things that were presented in that courtroom, maybe there's going to start to feel the same way, that there's an aspect of media that's just being entirely dishonest in the world of this conversation to a degree that is and should be scary to a lot of people. Other big stories in the news, just trying to cover some of those relatively quickly here because there feels like there's a lot of them. From yesterday, Brian Laundrie, they finally, I guess, finished that autopsy that took a long time, and they realized that he did shoot himself before he, I guess, got lost in swamplands in Florida. That's not a shocking piece of news to learn, but I did react to it when I heard it by feeling as though I'm so sad for Gabby Petito and her family for not being able to gain any kind of closure, however difficult that probably is, since this person behaved like a coward. And obviously, we never got any details, any information, any proof as to whether or not Brian Laundrie committed that crime. But I think anybody would tell you now that it seems fairly obvious that this person not only did that, but then chose to run away and take their own life. So that's just news that's out there, news that feels as though it's valuable to mention. And again, I do, my heart does go out. Whatever word you say, whatever cliche that people criticize you for, thoughts and prayers to the Petito family for that, because, I'm sure it doesn't provide anywhere near the amount of closure that they would want from going to trial, from convicting someone and having all those things occur. Although, actually, if you ask Democrats, our legal system is so broken that who knows what would have occurred. In other news, again, there is a 6th death now confirmed in the Waukesha massacre, an 8-year-old, Jackson Sparks. His brother actually also was in the hospital, but he will be okay. There is a GoFundMe page that has been created for this family, and because of how horrific this is and how awful, I feel for the family going to a Christmas Day parade and losing their child. I am going to mention it here. I have no connection, no affiliation with it, but the GoFundMe.com page is Waukesha Parade Attack Sparks Family. They had a $20,000 goal, and at the beginning of it, they actually put it up to help with the medical costs for both of their sons, who they had hoped would both recover. And now it's raised about $345,000 of the $20,000 goal because it's awful. And people are rightfully very moved by every aspect of the story there and how horrendous that entire thing is. And we'll see. We'll get more information from the person that cops believe committed that crime, Darrell Brooks. And I hope, I will say this, last thing about it, I hope that we get to a place where we have a transformative version of a conversation about some of the things we're doing in our society. And I do want to play a little bit of Tucker Carlson, who touched on this just the other day.
Police say the man who did this is a career criminal called Darrell Brooks. As of tonight, Brooks has not publicly explained why he committed mass murder. Instead, the media and local authorities have decided to speak for him. And the main thing they want you to know is that these killings had absolutely nothing to do with the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict just 2 days before. Nothing whatsoever. The timing is just one of those amazing coincidences. Quote, "There is no evidence that this is a terrorist incident," announced Waukesha's chief of police. But if indiscriminately murdering women and children at a Christmas parade isn't terrorism, then what exactly is it?
I think that's a really good question from Tucker Carlson, and I will just throw that question out to you because I have no answer. In other news, I guess just a couple quicker things, and maybe things that aren't quite as serious or sad in nature. Although this one probably still makes a lot of people mad. A TikToker went viral. 4 million people wound up watching a video of an arrest that happened, a high-speed car chase. The guy was going about 100 miles per hour. And then he told police he just did it for fun, and he did it because he's famous enough to, quote, "do whatever I want to do." This is what he told police. He will be obviously in a lot of legal trouble for deciding to take the cops on a high-speed chase like that just because. But I think it's yet another good example of ways in which our society is overvaluing things and creating some pretty awful understandings of the world. Certainly this 18-year-old is one of those people who just misperceives that his TikTok following makes him a certain type of person. Also another TikTok trend that's just started recently. People are calling it sophomoric. They're calling it dumb. They're definitely saying that you could get injured if you do this and you should not do it. It's called the Kool-Aid Man Challenge. You burst through. Okay. I can't help but giggle a little bit because of how stupid this is. You burst through a fence. You film yourself trying to run and crush a fence and then jump out on the other side and say, oh, yeah. And even though I find humor in the idea of someone being this dumb, the fact that this destruction or whatever it is, again, is just being encouraged. And I don't think all the kids who are doing this, wherever they're doing it, are actually, damaging property that they own or property that they know someone is trying to destroy. But just think of that for a quick second. Some of our most influential social media social media pages, sites for children continue to promote these really dumb, tremendously dumb things like the Devious Licks Challenge. And now this, you go online, you're a teenage kid, you watch videos of other people stupidly bursting through fences, and you're like, this is for me. This is the thing I want to do to be famous enough that I can be like that other TikTok person who then takes the cops on 100-mile-per-hour speed chase because, why not? I have the followers. I did the Kool-Aid Man Challenge. Life's great for me. All this needs to stop. We need to find a way. I would advocate taking phones from all the kids. I would. If this becomes a thing that keeps happening more and more, and that feels extreme, that feels draconian, I'm sure I immediately regret even remotely joking about saying that. At the same time, though, at least the Kool-Aid Man kids, they lose phone privileges for a while. Quick break, a lot more. Craig Collins filling in on the Chad Benson Show.
I usually don't get into politics. As an ordinary suburban housewife, I feel a little disrespected. I teach my children not to name call.
You are a blabbermouth!
Come on, man. Guys, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum?
Chad Benson.
Just a loudmouth.
This is the Chad Benson Show. My name is Craig Collins filling in. Thrilled to be here. Chad is back after the holiday. A women's march had to apologize earlier this week after reporting an average donation of $14.92, a figure reflecting the year Christopher Columbus landed in America. They said this: we apologize deeply for the email that was sent today. $14.92 was our average donation amount this week. It was an oversight on our part to not make the correction to a year of, to a year of colonization, conquest, and genocide for indigenous people, especially before Thanksgiving. We are deeply, deeply sorry that we reported to the people that are part of our Women's March an accurate number. I'm adding some of this at the end because we feel as though it was an accidental reference to a thing that we, of course, hate. I have to quickly talk about some of the MSNBC takes about Thanksgiving, some of the other things that I see out there in the world, and this, an apology about $14.92 being an accurate average donation amount for a organization that realizes after the fact that it is too close to home for something that makes a lot of people mad. And again, the MSNBC stuff that I've seen, and I'm not even going to play it. I could play it, but it's not important. Talks about how horrific it is to celebrate Thanksgiving because the holiday is tied to these awful, whatever they're called them, parts of our history. And I just have a simple question to ask people on that side of this conversation. Because, again, it's not really valuable to go back and forth and to debate whether or not genocide or any of that stuff occurred throughout the history of our society. That's something that I don't think I want as an argument. But this is the argument I'd like. When I get around my Thanksgiving table, when you get around yours, I don't think any of us say, if you do the go around the room what you're thankful for thing, that genocide is on the list. I don't think that it comes up. I think the reason that so many people on certain sides of conversations like this push back on the redefining our history or whatever it is because the actual world we live in today, you just want to get together with family. And it would be ridiculous to change the name of the holiday to something other than Thanksgiving. But I wouldn't care to an extent if it just better demonstrated to those who get mad at these things that, we're there to be with our loved ones on a holiday. I'm giving thanks on this day. And again, I don't know. Maybe some family members have an Uncle Dave or someone else sitting at the table that when you throw it to him, the first thing he's thankful for is genocide. I don't know. I just assume that doesn't exist. And I assume that we're a little bit better off. And even this thing, the Women's March and the 1492 number, the accidental reference, this doesn't need to be a controversy in any way, shape, or form. And yet it is. And as I talk about all this stuff, it's actually kind of funny. And I don't know why this story comes into my brain, but just real quickly, if you'll indulge me for a second, I did work for a company that I think was woke in incorrect ways years ago. I was in sales before I was in radio, and the company canned me the day after Christmas. And some of the things that they said, some of the ways in which we interacted, I feel like now are probably very inappropriate. And people have told me I definitely have a lawsuit on my hands if I wanted one back then. But it wasn't a big company. It was a small company. But the reason I tell you this story is, again, just to demonstrate, I guess, in my opinion, some of the weird things that occur as we push further and further from trying to be as woke as humanly possible. We do things that, we just communicate out loud, stuff that you're not supposed to say out loud. Like, I need to hire this many more women or this many more, people of a certain ethnicity in my company. And that's illegal. Shouldn't be saying that stuff. But I worked for this company called the Kosher Clipper. It was a advertising insert in a magazine, a Jewish magazine, and the insert was Jewish too. And when I showed up for the interview, which I'm pretty sure I found on like a Craigslist, the two guys who owned the company, who were both Jewish, asked me, when they shouldn't have, in the interview if I was Jewish. And I said no. I'm like, I'm not. Is that going to be okay? And I remember them both sitting there and being like, we'll work on it. We'll figure it out. We'll make it work. We'll hire you. And I'm like, this is great. And so I worked there a couple months. I guess I wasn't doing well enough in selling things. Every so often, the boss would call me over to the side and be like, hey, man, I heard you on that phone call with that company. You didn't play up the Jewish aspects more. And I'm like, what do you mean? Which ones? And he goes, like our company and everything. And I'm like, but I'm not that thing, boss. And he's like, well, I don't know. Maybe think about lying a bit. And I didn't. And he canned me. But I'll never forget part of what he did, because he fired me the day after Christmas. And as I was sitting there in the office having to come in the day after Christmas, he was like, hey, it's not going to work out. We tried. We wish things could have been different. We're going to have to let you go. But I did wait till your holiday was over to let you go, which was very nice of him. However, I felt odd about it. And then he was holding this giant tub of popcorn that he had purchased, I guess, as a Christmas gift to me. And he tried to hand it to me after firing me. And I guess he also called me an Uber to take me home so that I wouldn't have to ride the train. I was living in Chicago, Illinois, back home. And he's trying to hand me this tub of popcorn. And I'm like, nah, I'm good, man. I'm just going to take the Uber and go. And I, to this day, will remember how mad he got that I didn't take his Christmas gift popcorn. And he yelled some stuff at me about how, again, Christmas is not a holiday he celebrates, but he went out of his way to keep me employed through the day and to buy me this lovely mixture of popcorn Christmas gift. And he just held it at the door of his business, sort of like, you're holding up a boombox in somebody's front lawn trying to get them back to do a movie reference there, and just watched me drive away holding his pop. That's the last thing I know about that guy. I never have done a lawsuit against that company because, again, I don't think they were worth enough to make money. But it was just odd, and this was years ago. And I imagine a lot of companies get more and more bold with some of those requirements or things or the ideas that they want to help promote. They want to be known for a company that, does things as woke as possible. And yet, as just like a white Catholic guy, I kind of felt like, in that moment, there were some things that were tad unfair. And I think I was actually selling pretty well. And maybe, I don't know, I should have taken the popcorn and all might have been forgiven. I can't. I hope that he just threw that popcorn in the trash or something, though. He could just get a refund, by the way, and everything works out better for him. Thank you for letting me tell that story. Quick break, a lot more. This is the Chad Benson Show. Craig Collins filling in, the Catholic Craig Collins.
Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
This is the Chad Benson Show. My name is Craig Collins, filling in. Thrilled to be here. Chad is back after the holidays. Lots and lots of things in the news that are confusing. President Biden and his family on a very fancy, very expensive vacation, I guess. And what I thought was so interesting about this, and Peter Doocy, by the way, is a guy that I enjoy a lot in the way in which the questions are asked, the way in which the sparring exists between him and Jen Psaki. Both have said to different interviewers privately and publicly that they like each other, which makes no sense if you hear the way they go back and forth. But there's this interaction. Doocy is setting up the question, talking about the ridiculous price of everything now, and certainly the price of a lot of our Thanksgiving items, by talking about how Joe, Hunter, the whole family is on a very fancy vacation. And I wonder if Hunter's going to throw down on some things because he's got all that art money that he should not have. And then what I think is even more interesting, and the reason this clip probably should be more viral than it is the excuse that Psaki uses and the way that she tries to avoid this conversation. And I'm going to woke attack it, I think. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to woke Psaki in just a second because I think you can. But here's the back and forth.
What message does it send to the middle-class Americans President Biden says that he's trying to help, who are struggling this week to cover the cost of the most expensive Thanksgiving ever, that the president is going to take a few days off at a billionaire's compound in Nantucket?
Well, first I would say, I don't know if you've cooked a turkey before, but a 20-pound turkey is a pretty big...
Sexism, sorry, woke number one.
Turkey, I think we can all agree. They're about $1 more. So not to minimize that, any increase in prices is something the president is concerned about, as is evidenced by his announcement today and as his efforts to push forward on additional relief for the American people. But I just want to be clear that there are abundance of turkeys available. They're about $1 more for a 20-pound bird, which is a huge bird if you're feeding a very big family.
All right, here we go. First, you could say it differently than $1 more for a 20-pound turkey. You could say the turkey prices are up 20%. Year over year, and that sounds significant. But I love the idea of woke attacking this position because, again, she twice mentions how it's not that big of a deal. It's not that much more money. It's just about $1 more. Well, and that's anti-people who don't have money. That's anti the poor. That's poorest, I guess I can say. And then she's also being sexist when she looks at Doocy and seems to assume he's never cooked a turkey. Maybe he's great at it. Maybe he is the chef in his family. And Doocy does a lot of Thanksgiving meal things that are probably just incredible. Again, I want to play that back.
Compound in Nantucket.
Well, first I would say, I don't know if you've cooked a turkey before, but a 20-pound turkey is a pretty big turkey.
Why don't you know, Jen Psaki, whether or not Doocy has prepared Thanksgiving dinner? You awful, terrible person. That's what the woke agenda is all the time. It's to try to find the weaknesses in anything and everything we say, however imagined they are, and then just berate them. And make sure that that's all that we ever talk about. I just love it, too, that the twice mentioned number, it's just $1. It's just $1 here, $1 there, a few dollars per gallon on gas more. Everything's a little more expensive. And if you can't afford it, that's too bad. That's on you. That's essentially what the press secretary is saying, trying to make a big deal issue into the smallest of deals possible. And then actually, you know what? I want to play this, too. The Energy Secretary, Jennifer Granholm, talked a couple times yesterday at that same press conference about how prices are transitory, that the high gas price is going to transition back down to a lower gas price, something Democrats had said for a while about inflation and other things. It's just going to be a quick spike. That spike has been not so quick, and now they're even using the same verbiage, the same conversation to talk about how, well, it's not going to be so quick going back down. Which, again, I'm confused. I thought that if these things ebbed and flowed as quickly as they wanted to allude to them a while ago, that it would be a good thing, that it's going to swing back down. But wait. Let's talk about caution, and let's talk about patience this time around.
Well, I mean, the message is that we are in a transition.
And the transition does not happen overnight. And we recognize we're not going to flip a switch and be completely all clean because we haven't done the investment necessary.
Again, I always interrupt her there when she switches to clean energy because it's not the only solution to the problem. I love that. But also just transitions take a long time. Sometimes they take forever. Sometimes you don't transition. And then all of a sudden one day you wake up and maybe you did. All right. So let's just wait for the price to transition. And let's just all be very patient. And I always like to play this, too, when I talk about Granholm. This interview she did a little while back where a question was asked of her, the energy secretary, about how to lower the price of gas. And she thought that was hilarious.
What is the Granholm plan to increase oil production in America?
This guy.
Oh, my God. That is hilarious.
How bad is that, by the way? If someone just ducks into her office and they're like, hey, gas prices are going up. Do you think we can do something about it?
Oh, my God.
Please.
That is hilarious.
That's like a deep belly laugh. That's not even a sarcastic fake one. Like she's truly entertained by the question whether or not we have any way to impact this pricing. I don't know. Maybe building pipelines and not stopping them has some sort of impact there. And just real quick, I want to play the ABC News report. I do like this a lot. The reason I like it so much is they do the news thing that everybody does. You go to the gas station, wherever the reporter is, and you just ask a person just standing there, and you probably ask several until you get the quote you want, what it's like paying the high gas prices. I would like for someone to just go rogue, when they get asked these questions. Just maybe talk about a completely different issue. Just do something other than the little moment here. And not because I hate it. It's so cliche in news that I would like to see someone have a tremendously different take than that expected. But here we go.
For drivers, relief can't come soon enough. In just the past year, the average price for a gallon of gas has soared to $3.40. That's $1.29 higher than this time last year.
Just fill up my car, it's like $65.
Khadijah Baxter and her 4 kids usually drive to spend Thanksgiving with family, but not this year.
Riding around is a no. You have to fill up again by the end of the week.
What I would have loved if Khadijah Baxter pulled the gas out of her car, the little, dispenser, and just shot a little bit on the ground and just was like, I'm going crazy now. I'm going nuts. Look at the gold I'm spewing. And I know that that'd be very dangerous. I'm not actually encouraging we do that, but I would have been entertained if you just decide the next time news, which, as we know from our president and others, feels like it has an agenda way more often than it should, jumps in to try to get the hot take from you or the valuable news ad from you, and you just give them something totally different. You just perform. To me, that would be tremendously entertaining and probably something that would be cut almost immediately. One other quick thing I do want to touch on, and I don't know how much of a PSA this is, how valuable this is in preventing something like this from happening, but it is just weird that it's so common, or at least the issue is one that enough people are afraid of, that there's a viral video out there. But this video talks about how to spot a hidden camera in a hotel or an Airbnb. If you are traveling for the holiday, if you are going to stay in any of those types of places, apparently even more so than ever, you got to make sure no one is secretly filming you. Awesome. Our society is great. But here are some of those tips.
First thing you're going to want to look for is devices that are conveniently placed where a creeper would want to look. Take this fire alarm, for instance. It's placed right above the bed. Now, one way to see if a device is a camera is to shine a bright light at it. If you hit a camera lens, it's going to give a bluish reflection. Now, this clock is mirrored, but if we shine a bright light at it, we can see through the glass and see there's a camera there. Now, this technique can also work on two-way mirrors. So the camera is USB powered, and the wall charger it's plugged into is actually also a camera. If we shine the light on it, you can see that little pinhole in the middle with the blue reflection. That is the camera lens.
Yeah, that's a real thing. It's gone viral because apparently enough people should look. So I'm just telling you, after I saw that, I'm not trying to create any sort of I don't want to be fear-inducing at all in the show. That's not my intention. And I don't know. Maybe it's not as common. You certainly should still travel. You certainly should still get the hotel or Airbnb. But according to the expert, who also, because he has an accent, maybe trust him even more, you should make sure that no one is trying to be, in his words, a creeper. Actually, one other quick thing. Let's do one other quick thing, and then let's take a break. There is a company that'll pay you to watch Christmas movies. This is the second year that they're doing this, which I like a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and play the ad from last year telling you how you can make money on your couch watching Christmas movies. And I don't know if you had to wait till after Thanksgiving, follow those rules or not. I imagine you didn't, but here we go.
Wait, it's November already? Well, I guess we know what that means. It's time for our new holiday tradition. Once again, we're hiring one lucky person as our chief holiday cheermeister. Now, this person has to love the holidays and love holiday movies because we're going to ask them to stream 25 holiday movies in 25 days. Now, for doing this, our cheermeister will pull in $2,500 in cold, hard, probably direct deposit. To facilitate all of this streaming, they will also get a 1-year subscription to 7 different streaming services. Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, Prime Video, HBO Max, Apple TV+, and Hallmark Movies Now. And that's about all there is to it.
That's about all there is to it. Reviews.org is the place that's looking for their next holiday person that they pay money to just sit around and watch 25 Christmas movies in 25 days. There is a caveat to this, I should say. They are interested in people with significant social media followings. So if you do apply, you do try to get involved, and you don't have the amount of viewers, followers that they're looking for, I don't think the odds are good that you get the gig. But it's a thing. It's a thing that's existed for a couple years, and maybe a way to feel like you're escaping from all the news of the day. Maybe I'll do it without even getting paid. Maybe I'll do the 25 Christmas movies in 25 days and see how I feel when I come out the other side of that situation. A quick break, a lot more. Greg Collins filling in on the Chad Benson Show.
I can't take it anymore!
Well, get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
This is the Chad Benson Show. My name is Craig Collins, filling in. Thrilled to be here. Chad is back after the holiday. I just want to real quick relive something that happened yesterday because I love it a lot. This is just something that amuses me, and I keep thinking about it, and I don't know why. Our president, I think, had a Ron Burgundy moment where he just read something off the teleprompter he wasn't supposed to read. It happened quickly. It's not being talked enough. Here we go.
A lot of innovation. Because of the actions we've taken, things have begun to change. End of quote. In the past 3 weeks.
End of quote. That's the end of that quote there for anybody that's. Can we do this more? Here, one more time.
A lot of innovation. Because of the actions we've taken, things have begun to change. End of quote.
I want access to one speech for Biden. Just give me one and let me put some things in there in the middle parts that I assume he's going to read as well and not even necessarily notice. And it's going to be epic. That speech is going to be wonderful. And I'm not just going to have him say things that are conservative. I'm going to have him say real crazy stuff. And we're all going to go viral. I think that's probably the best way to get the kids involved. They want to do dumb things all the time and go viral. So let's do this. Speaking actually of dumb things that are on the internet that are kind of trendy, and I guess for whatever reason, things that people keep doing, there was a dirt bike gender reveal that occurred. I think this actually occurred in the UK. People put it up on TikTok. And what you had to do is you had to burn out the tires in order to display the color of the smoke that would shoot up to know if it's a boy or a girl. The gender reveal thing is something a lot of people do in a lot of really dumb ways. The reason this one is so specifically stupid is that the mom, the pregnant woman, is standing in front of the dirt bike, and when it jettisons forward a little bit, it starts to jump forward, it almost hit her. I can't think of a worse way to celebrate having a child than having someone get, a dirt bike mishap like that. And so it's gone viral as probably one of the stupider mishaps in the world of the gender reveal. She's okay. She didn't actually get, hit or anything like that. But just how odd to be like, yeah, that's a great idea. We're going to put the pregnant person in front of a dirt bike, and then we're going to spin out the tires. And all of this is going to be so wonderful for our social media pages. These are the things that people do, given this sort of thing. Also, I do love this story. There was a really bad traffic jam that occurred. This occurred, I believe, in Australia. And the reason why was a quote-unquote absolutely epic crab migration, which apparently shut down an entire road there. This year's migration has been absolutely epic, according to the Christmas Island National Park manager. They said that the roads have been seething with red crabs. It caused traffic jams on this small island, and people have to get out of their cars and rake them out of the way. That feels like a movie that needs to be made. The Sharknado, whatever version it is, crabs taking over an entire island. And if you do look up any videos, and maybe I'll post some on social media, Facebook.com/Greg Collins Show is where you could find those. Chad Benson, like I said, not here today, out, going to be there on Monday. It's sort of terrifying. And I know that crabs can't really hurt you, but there's a whole lot of them, and they're just taking over all the roadways. They're just doing their thing. And this leads me to a point I've made before on the radio, and I like just making quickly. I think the pandemic, one of the byproducts, one of the things we forget about from shutting everything down, and I mean this somewhat sarcastically, there were way more important issues, but animals got bold. Animals started to feel like they were getting all the areas back that we usually use. And if you have any animals, even if it's like a duck, a goose, somebody in your own community, I imagine they're a little less scared, and they're a little more, they feel more like they own more of the territory than they did in the past. And I've noticed that more than once. I would like to know if you have too. One other quick thing, I like this story a lot. A viral Darth Vader home in Texas sells to a mystery buyer for $3 million. This home is 7,040 square feet, and it's made of a lot of different, I guess, Star Wars-esque and other types of that kind of thing. There's a lot of references to it. An Instagram account for this popular home had gone viral as well. A person who's a plastic surgeon owned the home and reportedly is obviously a giant fan of a lot of that stuff. The only thing I'm worried about in this story, and I don't mean to sound like a little bit of a Star Wars nerd or whatever, I don't think I am one, but I like the movies, is that it's a mystery buyer. Why did an anonymous buyer want all the things, all the Star Wars things in this house? I don't know. I feel like maybe it could be somebody that wants to start doing some things. The 4-bedroom, 5-bathroom home is made of concrete and stone, and apparently, like I said, it's just littered with things that would probably make any Star Wars fan very happy to sell for that much money. And honestly, by the way, this is the other thing I thought of, is as you were adding more aspects to your house that were very niche in this way, that definitely celebrated something that maybe everybody in the family wasn't as big a fan as this one individual was. I just imagine the fighting that would occur throughout that. I'm going to put this giant Star Wars thing up here, this fighter jet over here, these lightsabers on display here, and someone yelling at you every part of the process, being like, you're an idiot, this is too much. But then apparently, success story is how it ends, because it can sell for way over the market value to another person who's a other fan. So if you're right now having some kind of conversation with the loved ones about whether or not you should decorate a room in the house in a very specific way, whether it's Star Wars, Star Trek, whether you're into the Marvel movies, like the new Spider-Man movie that's coming out, and I'm very excited for in about a month, just point to this story. Just be like, look, it might be nuts to turn our entire basement into a Yankee Stadium recreation, but we're going to make millions. Craig Collins filling in on the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
There have been 7 organized retail robberies in the Bay Area since last Monday, and most were caught on camera. Here's a timeline of those robberies according to authorities. Monday, November 15th, a group of 9 hit the Iceberg Jewelry Store inside Sun Valley Mall in Concord. On Wednesday, a jewelry store in the Solano Town Center was robbed. Friday night, a mob of people broke into the Louis Vuitton store in San Francisco's Union Square in a wild scene that unfolded in front of many, including our own NBC Bay Area news crew.
I don't understand. There's multiple stories of this. By the way, Chad Benson Show, Craig Collins filling in. Santa Cruz County also has a mask requirement that I'll get to in a second, which is just nuts. But there's story after story about this new breed of brazen robberies happening throughout California, luxury retailers being hit, several companies, of course, struggling quite a bit with this. And it's just a thing that appears to be, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse because there's not any valuable action being taken to prevent this. And this is what occurs in our society when you pull back the use of police, when you stop prosecuting and stop going after people who commit crimes that you think are only of a certain scale, is it just gets worse and worse. It just goes up more and more. And in some of these situations, it's like 30 or 40 teenagers that are showing up and just brazenly, without any regard for the video, they don't care. They're just going to take whatever they want. Apparently, that's the way you celebrate Christmas in California right now, is you just go with a sledgehammer and rob some stores, and you feel great about it. And I don't understand. I'm dumbfounded by some of this stuff that we're seeing on sort of a consistent basis. And then even just some of the responses to it, which just seem completely inappropriate to the amount of, to the significance of the issue. But also, as I just mentioned a second ago, on top of that, in Santa Cruz County in California, there is an indoor mask mandate that was imposed earlier this past week that also is going more and more viral online because of the fact that it involves your home. In a private setting like your house, you're supposed to wear a mask even if you're vaccinated, which makes no sense whatsoever. I love the idea that this is the kind of thing, and I mean that very sarcastically, that they would try to mandate it all, that you in your own home, just for any reason, having to put a mask on and maybe somehow getting in trouble for not doing it. And actually, I even want to kind of compare some things, and these are controversial other things too, so good luck to me, but we're going to do it. In Texas, the rule about abortion and the way in which they were trying to enforce that change in laws was by asking people to tell on each other, asking people to sue each other, to essentially allowing the everyday person to be an enforcement part of a process. This also happens with these mask requirements. When we go to these degrees with it, when you're doing things like the vaccine requirement and it existing in the workplace, they've said time and again that all of the government systems in place cannot possibly, to the degree necessary, enforce those kind of mandates and restrictions on every single business with over 100 employees. So what does it actually become in these situations? It becomes other employees telling on their coworkers for things they think are happening, or I guess in this case, showing up at somebody's house, somebody's home, and having them not wear a mask indoors, even if they're vaccinated, and being like, no, that's wrong. This is wrong. Somebody's got to be in trouble for this. We're better at policing these things without any, I don't mean the actual police, I mean us to each other. Apparently, that's the expectation being thrown out by our society. But then we have people, 30, 40, 50 teens, showing up and creating havoc and robbing stores throughout California. And everybody's like, that'll be fine. But the real question, were you wearing a mask inside? Yes or no? If that answer is no, we have problems. I don't get it. There's a lot of things in this world that are happening now that are more and more confusing by the day. I want to transition to something Tulsi Gabbard said on the Tucker Carlson show because I did really understand and really connect to some of this conversation as it reflects on some of the things happening in our society right now, ways in which we question certain things or ways in which we vilify some individuals and praise others or just ignore, again, and I guess this connects to what's going on in California, some crimes. It depends on who you politically support, what your positions are on certain issues as to whether or not our society even cares at all about this stuff. And it's a dangerous, dangerous road we're going down, as we've already seen time and again.
We are headed down a very dangerous path, and right alongside that, down this dangerous path, is the fact that we have politicians, we have activist judges, we have prosecutors who are not enforcing the law, people trying to defund the police, people who have really screwed up priorities, who seem to be more interested in caring more about protecting criminals than actually protecting our community, which is really the most fundamental, basic responsibility of our government, is to keep our people and our communities safe.
and to not create other different, requirements like the ones we're having in these places that I mentioned a second ago that asks for people to be the instigators of punishment or the instigators of ways in which you police things, as opposed to the government and other authorities like that. It's so nuts, so many aspects of this world we're getting toward. And I took a second, I kind of tried to reflect, and I know I've talked about this before on this show, anywhere probably that gives me a microphone, but the reason why so many now in positions of power, political positions and whatnot, feel like their own personal opinions have more value than ever, and that we can actually start to do these draconian versions of government overrule, government involvement in our daily lives, and all that's just okay. And I think it's the same problem we're having in society in general, and it does come from this internet version of our day-to-day life. And what I mean by that is a couple things. First, I mean social media transformed our way of thinking. Certainly, it's most impactful to young people. All the whistleblower and other things we've learned in the world of how social media companies like Facebook even ignore warning signs and problems that exist and how impactful it is on young people. It creates this assumption that not only does everyone in the world agree with you, because those pages actually filter out things you won't care about or won't interact with, so they give you more and more of that perception, but also just the way in which we manage it, the things we post on social media, the way in which we have a conversation that is one-sided, and that we interact with maybe a few people who disagree with us and just move on from there. There is a damaging aspect to that too. But the other one, I think the more important one, and the one that happened even further back in our history with the internet, and there's no way really to fix this one, by the way. I'm not trying to advocate for us taking down the whole system, but I just think the fact that we can all Google and look up information or watch a YouTube video on any topic has made every single person feel as though they're an expert on anything, or more importantly, they're capable of doing their own independent research on any topic, which makes us incapable of understanding or believing a point anybody else makes. Because if you have an argument with anyone, I imagine that if they're going to pretend they know something or admit that they don't know something, their reaction after the argument is to just go do their own independent, quote-unquote, research to figure out what's right or wrong. And we're so emboldened by this now that every, I think, individual, and I'm not saying that it's bad to go get more information, to go learn things about stuff that maybe you realize through conversation and whatnot you don't know a lot about. But even that system is flawed. Even that system has ways in which it actually curates this information for you. And then depending on even what you put in to the quote-unquote Google machine, you can probably prove anything you want to yourself. But I think that that's the core issue, is that now, more so than ever, information is so easily accessible, whether it's on your phone or whatever, that most people you interact with assume that they can become an expert overnight on any conversation at all. And so whatever your position is, whatever you're trying to convince someone else of, odds are they're not going to care that much. They're not going to listen all that well. And it just further and further enforces these very extreme beliefs we have on certain sides of issues or certain sides of the political aisle. It just pushes us further and further to that place. Learning doesn't happen anymore the way it used to in our society from conversation with other people. It happens alone, by yourself, with a computer, where you're probably actually looking for reinforcement of an opinion as opposed to completely shaping one on your own, through using that information that is available. The internet's a wonderful thing. I'm not trying to tell us all to turn it off, pull the plug, and be done with it. But I do think that that's a part of the reason that we seem to not be able to agree on anything anymore, because every single person's like, it's fine. Your opinion is maybe right. I'm going to go figure it out on my own, and everything else you said doesn't matter. And on that note, quick break, a lot more. Craig Collins filling in on the Chad Benson Show.
If you're part of the politically exhausted majority, don't fear. Your time to be validated and rejuvenated is here. Wake up. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. My name is Craig Collins, filling in. Thrilled to be here. Chad back after the holiday. Just real quick, I saw a story out there about how Pete Buttigieg might already be someone that the White House is talking about as the next president of our country. The presidential buzz, quote unquote, has penetrated the White House for Buttigieg. Someone, by the way, now who's in control of a whole bunch of money because of some of the things that have been passed in the world of infrastructure. And Buttigieg even saying, I think, quite a few times in interviews that he's not just going to give money to the projects that are ready. That's not the interest. The interest is giving money to the projects that are most deserving. This guy's a power broker. This guy, maybe that's the reason for the buzz and the conversation. He really feels like the head of a mafia in a sense because of the amount of money he has access to and the way in which he can just kind of dole it out to those that he finds the most valuable. But that and other things, I guess, have caused this buzz, this conversation as to whether or not he will be running for office next. Because, and I'll say this, and I don't think this is a hot take or that a lot of people aren't also saying this. There's got to be a 0% chance that Biden is running again. There just has to be. And I don't care what they say leading up to it. Some of the decisions that have been made, some of the ways in which the approval rating has just tanked because of things like the vaccine mandate. This person is operating our current president as if he's at the very end of his second term. I don't think he cares at all, or maybe isn't even aware of the way in which he's being perceived in some issues, the way in which he's being utilized or not being utilized by his own party, that it feels as though most people there feel like they're done with that guy, which I obviously I don't think a lot of people would miss President Biden if he weren't in office. And obviously I think a lot of Republicans probably feel the next president is someone who may or may not have already been president, but someone who's going to run on the other side of the aisle, not in the Democratic Party. But it's just weird to see that this news continues to be shared more and more places, that Buttigieg is an heir apparent now, less than a year in to the administration. And honestly, right now, specifically, these puff pieces are valuable because that person is in charge of a lot of potential spending. In other news, just shifting gears, and I've done a couple stories today talking about demonstrations that younger people overly interested in being popular, valuable, successful online and kind of forget that in the real world, some of the things they're doing are probably tremendously dumb decisions. Things like this Kool-Aid Man challenge that asks a person to videotape themselves trying to burst through a fence and then yell, oh, yeah. And even though I laugh at the concept of that, what I'm laughing at is the stupidity. If you're someone that does this and puts it up on social media, I'm just going to tell you, you're not in on the joke. You're not funny. People don't think that you're smart and that this is a creative thing you're doing. They're laughing at how dumb it is that someone would actually attempt to do this and go viral off of it. Here's another example of that same idea. So this couple gets arrested. They're getting arrested. There was a couple reasons why in Florida, and they put them both in the back seat of a police car. Their names are Jordan. I assume it's Jordan, but I wanted to emphasize the Y. And Summer. They're both 24 years old. Summer looks at Jordan. Again, I want to keep saying it that way. And says, since we're in the back of a police vehicle, I think it's a great idea if I perform a sex act on you for our OnlyFans page. Again, this is a real thing out loud said in a Florida police vehicle. Well, two people are being arrested. She then did it. They taped themselves. I guess they weren't handcuffed at the time, so they, used a phone and taped the thing and did the activity. And then the woman after gets on the phone and calls a friend while sitting in the back of a police car and brags about what they just did, and that'll be up on their OnlyFans page in the future. The amount of additional crimes they committed is sort of startling, and the way in which this is going to be a huge problem for them from a legal standpoint is apparently lost on everybody except the police officers, who apparently kept telling them, and this is also caught on video, you're not allowed to do that. That's not something you should be doing, but they did it anyway. Because, again, they're like, hey, this is a great opportunity that we don't get often. We can do this in a police car, and people on the internet are going to love it. I mean, I don't know which one's stupider to you. I feel like they're both equally dumb. Trying to videotape yourself bursting through a fence that you, as a human being, should not be capable of going through, or committing several additional crimes while in the back of a police. There's nothing else you could do, though. It's not like you could rob a bank while you're in the back of a police car. I can't think of another crime that somebody could do outside of that one, and yet they certainly achieve that goal. One other quick story. I know we got to take a break in just a bit. There is a lot of criticism on social media for a brand new Facebook ad that promotes its product Portal. The reason why is because two young girls ask on this video what the correct Welsh word for poop is. And then the person who answers the question, now granted, this is an advertisement. This is airing places as a way to promote Facebook and its products. The person who answers says a bad word, a word I can't say, even though it's in another language, which apparently directly translates, not only uses the curse word description of that, of poop, but also describes it as a tremendously big one. So that's an ad Facebook's running to promote its products. I get the criticism. Craig Collins filling in on the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
This is the Chad Benson Show. My name is Craig Collins filling in. Thrilled to have you here for lots and lots of reasons, and especially because it's almost the holiday. Chad will be back next week. I want to talk about something, and I'm sort of worried I'm going to get canceled over it. I'm sort of worried, but that's fine. Why don't you roll the dice a little bit here, and we'll see what happens. So there's this woman on social media. I guess she's a business owner. She talks all the time about being a business owner and having a baby, raising her baby, among other things. And she went viral because she recently complained about the way in which her husband gets special daddy privileges. And that's not a euphemism. We're not going that road. Apparently, and she'll tell the story in just a second, her husband went shopping, and she felt as though the amount of praise that Pop got because he brought the baby with was completely unfair because she doesn't get the praise as well. I can understand aspects of this. There are some things I won't completely dismiss out of hand about the difference in a reaction to a man or a woman holding a baby. And yet the core aspect of this, and I think the reason it went viral and the reason she had a lot of pushback, is that what she's actually saying is that, one, she's upset that more people don't praise her in her everyday life for the way in which she does things that she thinks are challenging. But two, and I think you'll notice it here, if I'm taking a somewhat serious take on what should be, I think, and even she attempted to be, mostly a funny social media video, is how angry she actually is that her husband got a reaction from people, and then that anger gets misplaced, and I think it gets thrown on the husband. And I think that is a valuable way to catapult into some other conversations. But first, here is the viral audio of the complaint.
Daddy privilege. So I've got a fun little story for you about daddy privilege. You all know, if you've been following me for a while.
Our baby talks a little bit too much as he has to clean something up.
Okay, you all know, if you've been following me for a while, that I'm a business owner. My husband has a job. I have a business. My husband has a job. I could not make that any clearer, right?
I feel like that's already judgment if I'm woking this.
My bakery requires that we go buy certain wholesale ingredients at this place called Restaurant Depot every week. You've seen me do videos of it before where I'm like wearing him, or I was massively pregnant buying 400 pounds of flour and 100 pounds of butter.
All right, I'm going to jump ahead. She apparently struggles a lot because she has to buy a lot of things for her business, and she always brings the baby along.
Hero. a hero. Mind you, those same people see me there every single week. I was recognized by one of the cashiers. She's like, hey, do you have a TikTok? Yeah, I recognize. Yeah. I'm strapped up with a baby or 7 months pregnant, hauling 100-pound bags at a time of flour into the back of my Subaru. Meanwhile, I'm getting a whole lot of...
Nothing. A whole lot of no response.
Nothing to see here. Just a woman doing woman things, busting her But my husband wears the baby, and he goes to the Restaurant Depot for mommy's business, and it's, oh my God, look at you. Oh my God, you worked so hard. He said somebody walked, he said, honestly, it was a little bit embarrassing.
Look, I'm going to stop it for a second. I know this is a long play of this, complaint that she put up on social media and the amount of backlash she got for it. But it's interesting to hear the amount of rage that is in this person's heart, I think, for this issue, that her husband, Pop, got celebrated by people at a grocery store for going shopping and buying a lot of large items while having a baby in tow. You know what? A little bit more.
Somebody walked past him and said, oh my God, that's a whole baby.
So angry.
Yeah, it's his. Look more like him than me. Honestly, sometimes I feel like I'm walking around with somebody else's baby.
I don't know where that anger is.
He's literally just a father, just a parent, doing the same I do every week.
So here's the serious take I have on this. Sorry, I don't need to play that anymore. You're good, lady. But the serious pivot is how we misplace this rage, right? We misplace this anger, and I think that's the biggest reason that people are pushing back and complaining to her. She actually put up a response, a second video, where I think she tried to contextualize things more. And a lot of stand-up comedians have made this joke. I think it's fairly prevalent in our society that men are praised. I think SNL recently made this joke too. Men are praised more than women in certain situations, fathers, whatnot. But it's so weird to be mad at the person that's not causing what you think the problem is, right? And I know that this is a real serious dovetail on this topic, but I just couldn't help think this the whole time that I watched this video and found out about this viral problem, is that when you get so mad at someone else who receives something that they're not trying to gain, you are misplacing all of that rage. She's upset at all the people inside the grocery store for not praising her more, which is an awkward, a weird thing to also feel, as though you need that. And I know she's a social media influencer. Probably that's the reason why you need that validation. That was a hard take, but that's true. And so I think that's problem number one, is that you probably shouldn't care about whether or not people applaud you if you're living your life, even if something you're doing is challenging, and not a lot of people are also doing that. But the second more important one is just the amount of anger that her husband is going to be getting from her, the amount of probably ways in which he's going to be able to know that she's not the happiest. And even him saying it was awkward, the way he was treated inside the grocery store. All of that's the problem, man. All of that is truthfully a way in which we lose all ability to talk about any of the serious things that may or may not, have value as far as being worthy of discussion, because we just get so angry at someone that's not necessarily, and I know I think you can figure out some of the things I'm talking about here, and I know that they're all complex, but not necessarily causing the issue that you're so mad about. And another one, I just want to reference this relatively quickly, in regards to Thanksgiving and all the crazy pushback, all the people who are so upset in MSNBC that you'd celebrate a holiday that in our society now is absolutely just about getting together with friends and with family and expressing thanks for the things that are important and valuable in our life. So many people want this holiday to be ended, want it to go away, because they feel like it has these historical ties to other things. And I don't even need to make the argument as to whether or not it does to demonstrate to someone how silly it is to obsess in those ways, because I bet you beyond a shadow of a doubt that no one organizes their Thanksgiving celebration to celebrate the things that you're mad about. No one is actually creating or discussing how great it is that this or that happened at some point in our history while having their Thanksgiving meal. And so because of that, we should actually be able to understand the reality of some situations and not just go off on these these super long, these super crazy, takes that place so much anger in such an odd direction. That was a very serious move. I tried my best. I wanted to make that a thing. Let's move on. A Good Samaritan delivered a lost wallet and shocked a lot of people on social media. This is a nice palate cleanser from that last topic. This person found a wallet and decided that, it's not mine, so let's find who owns it. And you'll hear the reaction to the person he even contacts, the buzzer he pushes, and the Ring doorbell he's talking into, because for a split second, the person he's talking to is like, no, it's not mine. And then realizes, oh, wait, I know the person in that license photo. That is somebody I know.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good.
I found your wallet at the Smith Parking Center.
That's not me, though.
Is that you?
Oh, my God, that's my daughter.
Yeah, I was at Smith Parking Center, and I was like,
oh, my God.
I don't know if she lost it. All the cards are in there, everything.
So everything was down there. They lost the entire wallet. This guy found it. This guy rings the doorbell, says, hey, I'm with this delivery company, and I found this on the ground. Is this you? And holds open the page in the wallet that shows the license. And the woman's even like, yeah, it's not mine. It's not me.
That's not me, though.
So the quick reaction is so odd. And then the second.
Oh, my God, that's my daughter.
Oh, my God. It's my daughter. Thank you so much for helping. Good Samaritan, doing a good deed on the holiday. There's no way that anybody could get mad at that story. No way anyone could ruin it or say anything negative, I assume. Knock on wood. And yet I've seen the internet do things a time or two. All right, a quick break. A lot more. Craig Collins filling in on the Chad Benson Show.
Don't let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
This is the Chad Benson Show. My name is Craig Collins filling in. Thrilled to have you with us. Lots and lots to talk about in the news. And yet, since it's almost time for the holiday, I want to do some rapid-fire Thanksgiving things for you. First, the 6 Thanksgiving stats, according to Google Trends. These are things that apparently are happening right now in the world of social media and things that maybe you care about, maybe you don't. Let's try it out. The first one, the most Googled cookie turking technique is how to smoke a turkey. Apparently, people are not really sure how to do that. Also, in some states, roasting or deep frying a turkey is the most popular thing to look up. Louisiana, number 1 for how do you deep fry a turkey. Proud of everybody there doing that, because I still need someday in my life to deep fry a turkey. The most searched pies in the past week, pumpkin, of course, number 1, pecan, apple, sweet potato, making a surprise appearance to me on that list, and a mud pie. You're already thinking about leftovers. Top searches include leftover sandwich, leftover soup, leftover recipe. So even before the eating has commenced, you already want to know what you're going to do with those items after. The most searched Thanksgiving drink is sangria. That feels like a surprise to me. Also, apple cider and punch make that list. A lot of people skipped a big Thanksgiving last year, according to some of the trends they're seeing. So this year, people are asking the basic questions about how to handle the get-together, what to wear, what to say, what not to say. That's something people are commonly looking up. And then finally, people are looking into when the Thanksgiving parade or when Thanksgiving football games are. 9 states care more about football than the parade, which I think is great. Michigan, Illinois, Alabama, North Carolina, West Virginia, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts, all don't really care about whether or not there's going to be a Santa Claus at a parade. They care who's going to win those football games. Some other quick things, quick Thanksgiving-related conversations. Men are much more likely to not do anything cooking-related tomorrow than women. No one tell that TikTok woman who's been upset about daddy privilege, who I played earlier on in the show. 25% of men don't do a thing on Thanksgiving compared to only 11% of women. 48% of women compared to men are very likely to do all the cooking, according to this recent poll that's not helping any of us not have an argument on Thanksgiving. And I'm unfortunately part of that 25. I do nothing. But it's only because no one wants me to. In all honesty, like, I'd cook it. That's fine. Let's let me one year, the guy who's part of this problem group, I guess, according to some, no one wants me involved. And if I do, if I roll those dice, if I make all the things, I guarantee you we'll be calling for some sort of takeout immediately after I set the table. So this is why I'm not active, because I'm bad. That's at least my excuse. 1 in 8 people will go to a restaurant instead of eating at home. I imagine some of these people are the ones that finally push the guy that shouldn't be making meals into making them. Because, again, I'd fall into that category. 12%, or almost 1 in 8, plan to order out. 82%, as I said a second ago, actually plan to have that meal in person. 4 in 5 parents. 4 in 5 parents. I love this one. Say that their kids are not thankful enough for the stuff that they have. 81% are like, my kids are ingrates. They don't care about anything. That poll came from the University of Michigan. I would love for this to come up at a bunch of those holiday meals, because I don't think this is shocking, by the way, and it's probably accurate, too, that young people just don't understand. They just don't get how all these things are so difficult and challenging for people who have actual responsibilities. I just love it. 96% of parents think that you can teach children to be grateful, and 63% say that their family has daily conversations about what it means to be grateful for the things that you do have. But it doesn't matter, even though those two things were also found within this survey. 81% are like, you guys, you got to try a lot harder to give me the due that I deserve. As far as watching the game, which I mentioned a second ago, 50% of fans are superstitious enough to wear a specific jersey or clothing item when their favorite team is playing. So if you do have someone show up to the Thanksgiving celebration and they're throwing on an item that seems like maybe it hasn't been washed in a while, that's just a passionate football fan. That's just a passionate, supporter of a specific team. You got to let them live that life. 44% listen to the same music ahead of a game. I can't believe that one. I've never heard of that superstition before, that you actually get psyched up to watch your favorite team compete in whatever the event might be, football or whatnot, by listening to certain music. And if you don't, maybe you feel like you lost the game for people. 42% sit in a specific spot on a couch or in the stands if they are, in their same location. I imagine they don't have a spot in your house, although that would be awesome. And that's totally real. I'm going to go ahead and say it. As a superstitious fan of on my own, I have both won and lost games for my favorite teams, including the New York Yankees, by moving. I've sometimes been in the right spot, and I deserve a World Series ring. And other times, unfortunately, I've helped us choke. That and the Astros cheat. Anyway, that was my moving on. 42% carry a good luck charm with them during a game, and 40% say that a specific friend or family member being present for a sporting event increases the odds of someone winning. My wife is definitely that person, too. She's never gone to a sporting event in the entirety of the time we've been together. It's absolutely true, where the team we wanted to win didn't win. They always win everything we go to where she's there, which means, and again, I just said I'm a huge fan of the Yankees. If the Yankees are listening, by any chance, if Cash or anyone else is listening to this right now, you need to bring both myself and my wife to all the playoff games next season, and I guarantee we'll win. We have a perfect track record so far, and I want that to be proven true or false by your organization. 39% of people eat specific food or snack items while watching a game. That's probably something that's fairly common. I don't know if they decide that impacts the outcome of the game, but a lot of fans very superstitious. And then another thing, and I guess this is just touching on general news, not necessarily a Thanksgiving thing, although if you were planning on trying to save money, cut corners a few different ways, apparently even going to the dollar store will now cost more. It's about to be the $1.25 tree and not just the Dollar Tree, because the cost of items has to go up. It's just impractical with inflation and everything else to get us to the dollar. It doesn't have the same ring if you go to the $1.25 tree. I feel like that's just not what they were looking for there. A couple more Thanksgiving things real quick. 5,000 adults were asked what their least favorite Thanksgiving side dish is. Candy yams, number one. 27% of people voted on that. Green bean casserole, number two. Totally need to flip-flop those. Green bean casserole, way worse than a candied yam, just my opinion. Turkey eggs are edible, I guess, is another random fact you might need in the world of turkey. If you do want to celebrate the holiday uniquely and you want to add eggs to the equation, they can be turkey eggs. I don't even know that I needed that. Now, they are $3 per egg, so get them while they're hot. And then finally, and this is something I actually want to end this show on a lot, the viral audio of the day, to me, is the White Castle OnlyFans audio. And that's a sentence I didn't think I would speak many times in my life. But White Castle has a page where they're sharing Thanksgiving recipes for you. And those Thanksgiving recipes are all only on OnlyFans. And the reason that I think this is so great is that if it did cost money, which apparently it doesn't, and you had that pop up on the old credit card charge, I would love to see the fight between a couple where the one person's saying, no, the OnlyFans thing I was paying for was a White Castle thing. I promise. It's just a recipe. That's all I want. I don't think I have time to actually play the audio, but as you can imagine, it's a chef making stuff, and he's doing it the wrong way. Gotta go. Talk to you soon. Craig Collins, Chad Benson Show.